record. Let's record too, just in case there's any issues later. There we go. You guys see my screen, hopefully? Oh, good. Hopefully. All right, let's make sure that my screen is something that's useful. All right. Again, one more time. Everybody can see my screen. Yes? Thumbs up or? Okay, great. So now I got to find which note I was working on. Maybe this one? Nope, that's my kids. Not that note. This one right here. All right. So I think that Annalise, I think that this is what Annalise's looked like. All right. So here I've got a flag. I noticed that I didn't color the top flag, but that's okay. So the top stripe of that flag should be red as well. But we see that I've got this purple line that goes across. Did everybody see my purple stair step line that goes across? Okay. I will also note that I do not have 15 stripes in my flag. It was just hard to do on this screen, so I had like 9 or whatever it is. But you can adapt this same idea to a 15 striped flag. So when I do this, notice that bottom white stripe is going to sort of blend in. It's going to sort of go away. And that bottom red stripe is going to sort of move up to the red stripe that's 2 above it. Does everybody see that? And if I've done this right, once I take this, let's see if I can do this too, maybe. If I take this whole piece, oops, maybe, nope, it's gonna be weird. That's okay. If I take this piece and slide it over to the right and up, then it should fit in exactly right. Annalise, this is what you did, right? Awesome. So I want to ask what questions you have about how that worked. I want to make sure everybody feels good about this before we move on to whatever's next. Yes, Murphy.
I have one. Wouldn't it be the purple start above the white line, like 2 up? Because if you move it over, the red and the white will just go next to each other.
So that's a good question. I think I tried that the first time, and I don't think it works. I think that the way I've got it is that this little portion here is going to go right here.
What about that little white strip then?
That little white strip is going to sort of blend into the background. It's not going to be a stripe anymore. Does that make sense? Like once you do it, that white, I mean, you know, your flag will go sort of, let's see, like this thing here, oops, not that. This thing here is like the flagpole, and it sort of blends into the flagpole right here.
So it'll be a piece hanging off?
So it'll be what?
A piece hanging off?
No, again, if this is my flagpole right here, it doesn't even look like a stripe anymore. It's just a part of the background. So
technically, since it's still like a piece of the paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense then, Murphy?
Yeah, I just don't understand why you can't just go up 1 and start with 2 and then go 2 each time. Because the other ones you're doing 2.
Yeah, so I tried that, and if I go up by 1 each time, it does something weird right here, right? So right there, it doesn't quite match up. The only way that I could get it to work, since it's an odd number of stripes, the only way that I could get it to go up is to cut off that bottom line and then move it up in that way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's because, again, it's an odd even thing, and I think that's the only way that I can get it to work, I will say.
Okay.
But I will say, Murphy, if you try it and you get it to work where you said like sort of 2 stripes up and go over it, I'd love to see it. That would be awesome.
Okay.
We'd love to see it. Yes, Allison, you got a question? Is that Allison? Is that Allison? It's not Allison,
that
sorry.
was me.
Anyway, sorry. My screen is too small to show names. Sorry.
Okay. I actually went up 2 when I did it.
Okay, did it work?
Yes, because when you slide it, the red one that you cut, like the cut looks like this.
Okay.
So when you cut it like that, once you slide it, it should line up.
Did you take off the bottom 3 of those?
It was like half of the third one.
Okay.
So half of the red stripe, kind of.
Okay. So I mean, so
and
Murphy,
then-
it sounds like there are multiple ways to do it, but I think that the most important thing that we got to take away is that stair step pattern. Does that make sense, Murphy?
Yeah, I also think since like the one that we cut is like curvy kind of, it's not straight like these, like it's harder to match up anyways.
Yes.
So no matter what way you cut it, kind of, it's still gonna be wonky in a way.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I would say that if I were doing this on my notebook, I would just draw a straight flag like this. I would include something more like what I have here instead of the actual thing. Yeah, Annalise, can you show it one more time?
Yeah. This is what mine looked like once I was done.
Gotcha. Cool.
So like everything lined up perfectly.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. I struggled to get it to line up perfectly as well. I had problems that Murphy did.
One thing that I don't understand is like when you slide it to the right like that, wouldn't like part of it go off like the flag to the right, if that makes sense? Like how if you like go up the stairs one and slide it like that, will a part not like stick out of the right?
It's a great question. So when after you do the sliding, do you see this part that I'm highlighting in blue here? This part right here that I'm highlighting blue?
Yeah.
That part will just be one continuous thing all the way down.
Oh,
so
on the side.
Yep, on the side.
So like when we're making less stripes, are we also making it wider?
Yes, and that is a crucial
Okay.
observation to this. Basically what we're doing is we're taking that bottom stripe and we're sort of adding part of it. We're making sure that every stripe has to get a little longer, right? So the way that I would think about it is this, right? The flag is going to have basically the same area, right? The flag's area shouldn't change if I do this. But somehow there are now fewer stripes. The only way that there can be fewer stripes in the same area is if all of those stripes are a little longer. Does that make sense, Alec?
Yes, that helps a lot.
Good. And that is a crucial observation for our leprechauns, right? Our leprechauns are going from 15 leprechauns to 14 leprechauns. And I'm going to suggest that the heights of those leprechauns, I mean, if you sort of lined all the leprechauns up on top of one another and sort of measured that height can't change before and after I rearrange. Does that make sense? That total height cannot change. But if I'm going from 15 to 14 leprechauns, what must be true of the 14 leprechauns? What's got to be true? Anybody?
Maybe one's gonna be like bigger or taller or something.
Yeah, I mean the 14 have to be a little bit taller than they were before. Just like these stripes have to be a little longer than they were before in order to sort of have fewer stripes. Absolutely. Good.
Do you mean just one of the 14, or like all of them could be a little bit taller, or it really doesn't matter?
I think in this flag example, every single stripe has to get a little longer in order to make that work. I think that that's going to be true of the leprechauns as well. Every single one of them is going to have to be a little bit taller in order to make it work. I mean, if you just had one leprechaun be taller, that leprechaun would have to be twice as tall, right? It had to be like 2 leprechauns. And I don't think we saw that. I think what we saw was something a lot more, it was a smaller growth. Does that make sense? Good. All right, other questions? Do people feel good about the flag now? All right, great. So for now, you just need to get that reasoning and that thought process into your notebook. Later on, we'll work on turning that into something that would be really a good explanation of it. And we'll talk about that some next week. Okay, so next week we'll focus more on, I think I understand how this thing works. How do I explain it to another person, you know, in a really good way? That process we'll start working on next week. Okay, so today we're going to continue working. I don't remember where people got to. So wherever you got to last time, you'll just pick up right there. I think some people got to pencils and some people may not have gotten to pencils. Wherever you were, start working at that same point today. We'll have the same groups. Our roles will be, doggone it. Well, hold on. Our roles will be as follows. So take a look at the chat. It's coming at you now. So this time I want you to arrange yourselves in order by birthday. January birthdays first, December birthdays last. We don't care about age, just when your birthday is, okay? And then you'll arrange yourselves in with those roles. Does that make sense? Any questions? All right. So keep working. As you have questions, let me know. And I'll come and check on each group to make sure everybody is doing well. And then we'll pop out and we'll pop out shortly before class is over, present answers, and see if we all understand. Okay. All right. And again, if there are any questions, please call me over. I'd be happy to help with, help your group with anything. All right. Your breakout room you should be getting invitation like now. Awesome. Is everybody back? No, we're still missing on a couple. Hey, do you guys have fun today? I gotta ask that question.
Yes.
Okay, well, two people are willing to commit yes. Maybe three.
Always.
Always.
Oh,
Nice.
question.
Okay, cool. Sorry, did you guys have fun today?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice. Is anybody willing to say, no, my brain hurts and I hate this and I hate you? Or maybe not all that. Allison says yes. Allison says that she hates this and she hates me. That's okay, Allison.
No mercy, Allison.
I know, right? It's like, man. I appreciate your honesty, Allison. I do appreciate that. I did invite that, I will say. Okay, I want to talk about some of these that we discussed. So let's see. So we talked about. I think we talked about. First of all, did everyone get to like number 21, 22? Is there any group that did not get to 21, 22?
We stopped at 22.
22. That's okay. But you're right in that area. Okay, that's good. Okay, cool. So I want to think about the pencils. I want to look at number 12, say. So number 12 is about the number of pencils of each color. So if you were in group number 1, who's the spokesperson for group number 1?
I am Brody.
Brody, thank you. So tell us what you guys got for that one. How do you explain how the number of colored pencils changes?
Well, when looking at the picture, we saw how there are 2 pencils that could technically change, theoretically. One where it had the pencil head, so the bottom could be any color. And the second one is another red pencil, but the eraser could belong to any colored pencil, yet it doesn't matter.
Good. And so after you do the rearranging, they sort of swap, right?
Yes.
Good. That's a
Just
great.
sort of like-
That's a great explanation.
Yeah.
Was there any other group that had something different to that, or was it roughly the same as Brody's explanation? The idea of the eraser and the tip sort of being associated with whatever color, and then after you rearrange, they sort of switch.
I think we kind of got the same thing.
Cool. Awesome. That sounds good. So if that's what your group's explanation was, I think that's a really, really good explanation. And thank you, Brody, for sharing that. I think that's perfect. I want to look at, say, I think I talked through number 15 with everyone, and I would just say that the answers were sort of, let's talk to group number 2. So group number 2, who's your spokesperson? Group number 2. Do you remember what the groups were? So group number 2 has Anna, Jay, John Elliott, and oh, that's it.
I'm the
No,
spokesperson.
I am wrong. Never mind. I want you to be sorry. You're gonna be coming in later. I changed my mind.
Okay.
Group number 3, your spokesperson. What did you guys put for number 15? So group number 3 is Allison, Annie Lees, Carter, and Jackson.
Yeah. We said that the total height of like the pencils, the total height of the leprechauns didn't change, and we said that based on past experiences that it hadn't changed, so the area wouldn't change, and then we figured it out a few seconds later that it can change. So.
Right. So it's okay. But at the time, you felt that areas shouldn't change when you cut and rearrange.
Yeah.
And part of that was about your prior experience. In all the, every time I sort of rearrange, my experience tells me that area is not, the total area is not going to change. Good.
Yeah.
Good. And I think that's a great explanation. I think lots of groups had the same idea. I did sort of push many groups on, do you have a proof of that fact? And I don't think that anybody said, yeah, I've got a proof of that fact or anything like that. I think that one person said, well, when you're cutting and rearranging, you're not either adding or subtracting anything. And so that idea of addition or subtracting is maybe a powerful one. I will say that without a proof, I'm always very skeptical, just personally, because I'm a skeptical, cynical person. But good, I think that's a great answer, Carter, and I'm glad that you told us about it. Okay, so Carter then said that in like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, something weird happened, and that is that the area did change after we cut and rearranged. And number 22 says something like, I'll sort of paraphrase, I don't understand, you said earlier that areas can't change, and now you're saying they do, what gives? That's sort of a paraphrase of number 22. And Murphy's group had some really interesting observations about that. I would love to hear what you guys talked about, Murphy, on number 22.
Yeah. Earlier we said that the total area and height didn't change. Like from A to A, like once you changed it, it was 65 to 64, and then B was 168 to 169. But we still think that even though like when you multiply and like try and find the area, they change, we still don't think that the area actually changes, just like a mathematical error to our eyes. And it just appears to be perfect boxes, but if you like actually lines it up perfectly, it doesn't match up perfectly.
Good. That's a great explanation, Murphy. So Murphy's group sort of talked about they have two sort of complements or contradictory ideas in their head, right? One is that the fact that areas, we think that areas should not change. And the other is, hey, look, in this particular situation, they changed, right? Those two things cannot both be true, right? And so I think many groups said, oh, okay, well, this one here, when I said that areas can't change, that must be wrong. That idea must be wrong. Evidently, they can change. Murphy's group had a very different idea, and that is, no, we still believe that areas can't change. We believe that our calculation was screwed up. And Murphy's group is absolutely right. So if you looked very carefully, the way that slant goes, it doesn't make perfect boxes. And you'll have to take my word for it. I mean, it's a very cleverly arranged sort of thing. But it turns out that if you're counting boxes, those boxes are no longer perfect boxes. The area has not changed. Your computation of that area is faulty, right? But this is a very, very important and powerful idea that mathematicians are faced with a lot, right? I've got two competing things. How do I know which one is true, right? If they can't both be true, I've got to figure out which one is false. That's a lot of what mathematics is, okay? Now, we are out of time, so I will just say very quickly, I apologize. The reason we were out of time is because I felt that this is an important idea for us to get to, and I felt like if we lost it, that would be a shame, because this is really, really important and powerful. You received an email in your inbox about peer review, so please take that. If you can't do it now, that's completely okay. Just do it sometime today. If you got to run, I know people got to run, I understand. So take that when you can. Do that peer review later when you can. I also just want to say that on Friday, we will meet in person. You need to bring your mic with your headphone, and you need to bring Discord installed on your device, and I'll send you another email about how to do that. Right? If you got questions, please let me know. Otherwise, you guys did very good work today. It was a hard day. You guys did great work, and I will see you in person on Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.